Well, howdy, everyone, and welcome again to the Lauren Muzyka Show, your favorite update in the battle for life, family, and freedom. So excited, so honored to have you with me once again. I'm your host, Lauren Muzyka, attorney and human rights advocate, and I serve as president CEO of Sidewalk Advocates for Life, the nation's largest peaceful sidewalk outreach organization. Okay. Last episode of season 3 of the podcast, season 4 is actually going to kick off next week. So we're going to continue right along. And we thought we'd do something really fun for the last episode of the season. One of my favorite podcasts did something recently where the host allowed the audience to ask her anything as a way to better get to know the organization she formed and even herself as the host. And I thought that might be super fun because on the podcast, about 95% of the time now, you're hearing from a lot of other folks. And maybe there are things that you always wanted to know more about in regards to this end of things, right? So I asked our team and friends to send questions to our video dude, Andrew, our producer for this podcast. And I said, here we go. I said that it could be anything personal or about Sidewalk Advocates for Life or the pro-life movement or anything, my opinion on something, right? And I told Andrew, our producer, that he was going to interview me and he gets to pick out the ballpark 5 questions that he's going to ask. And I'm not allowed to know what they are ahead of time. So I'm going to totally answer off of the cuff here, which is super fun and also makes me kind of nervous. Haha. Okay. I'm not going to read a bio of myself. If you really want to read a bio, you can go to our website, sidewalkadvocates.org. I say we have a lot of fun. We dive right in. So again, we're going to welcome back to the conversation our producer, Andrew Seba of Stella Productions.
Hello.
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 How's it going?
Great. How are you?
Good. Welcome
I
back.
happen to be wearing the same shirt, I guess.
Oh yeah, look at that. We won't tell anybody.
Well, it's the dad vibe, you know?
Yeah,
It's like you got to
definitely.
just you find what works and then just like bang that drum all day every day.
You have it going on. You wear the dad look very well, Andrew. There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I'm nervous, excited.
All right.
I have no idea what you're going to ask me. So, yeah, let's have some fun.
We've got some really great questions from the Sidewalk Advocates team.
Okay.
I think overall there were like 30 questions or something like that. So I've whittled it down to 5.
Okay.
I say 30 questions, about 20 of them were what was the most meaningful experience on the sidewalk?
Oh.
And that is not one that I picked. So,
okay, good. I mean, great. Whatever works.
The basic questions. So, all right. So number 1, how can someone encourage a pro-woman, pro-family workplace culture?
Ooh, I like this question. Okay, so last week, I actually had one of our female staff members. It's not hard for it to be one of our female staff members because at this point in our history, I think there's 19 of us on the Sidewalk Advocates for Life national team, and we all happen to be women. Women are very attracted to this work. Yes, I do hire guys. We've had guys on our team before. We have gentlemen on our board. But one of the moms on the team actually complimented me last week on having a very pro-family work environment. And that really warmed my heart, right? Because if you listened to the podcast that I recorded a few weeks ago with Leah Jacobson of Guiding Star Centers, Mark Cavalier with Southwest Coalition for Life, and then the following week with Dr. Jennifer Roback Morse of the Ruth Institute. This was a big thing for them, right? Like not punishing women for being women. Women have we have this creative superpower and being able to bring life into the world prospectively. And we're not here to make women men. We're here to celebrate the differences between women and men. Yes, we've got to get our work done. Yes, we work hard, right? But, if you have a sick kid, you can take a day off, right? We have a generous maternity leave. We even have a paternity leave policy. When women show up to our meetings, we make it very known that you can go ahead and bring your baby with you and breastfeed if you need to, right? Some of the moms will be like, off camera breastfeeding, right? Or going to go get the baby. And yes, we have high professionalism. We have core value of excellence as well. And it's like, let's go get the baby and come right back to the meeting, you know? Now, if their little one is throwing up during the meeting, then that's a great excuse to sign off of the meeting and go take care of your child and come back and catch up later, right? But the point is I think that if we're going to be pro-life, pro-woman, pro-family, we have to exhibit that in our corporate culture, in our policies, and making sure that we're there for moms who may need to contribute to the family's bottom line, right? So I'm very proud of that. So did I answer that question well? Is there anything?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
What about from like a lower level looking up standpoint? So maybe you work in a company that's, Fortune 500 company or something like
Mm,
that, and there's 50,000 employees and you work at the Oklahoma City branch or something like that. Like, what can you do? Maybe in small ways, you have no ability to create policy, but what's something that you can do to maybe encourage a little bit more of a pro family or pro, I'm sure there's plenty of pro women and empowering stuff like that out there, but
yeah.
what could you do to sort of bring that in small ways to your business place?
Yeah. Are you thinking more like this is a manager who's able to bring that to the table, or like coworker to
Not
coworker?
really, just even coworker to coworker.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I think that people need to get together and ask their managers for pro family policies, especially women. Like I said, I don't think we should be penalizing women for being women. That, yeah, we got to get our work done, but like, we want to make sure that like moms can be moms, that they can tend to their children when they need to if they're really sick, right? And yes, you may have to make arrangements. Maybe you are in a season where you've got to work outside the home as a mom, you've got to work outside the home as a dad. And so how do you come together as a family and actually put your family first, but also make sure that your financial needs are provided for as well? And I think it's also supporting one another as women, when we're going through pregnancy and childbirth and everything in between. Are we there for the women in our lives? Are we helping them now and then with maybe watching a kiddo or bringing over meals? I know that one of the things that I've been able to do, even in Sidewalk Advocates for Life, for people that don't have a village around them, is set up meal trains, right? Like we're helping a mom right now here in Dallas. And what's so sad to me is she's working for a local daycare. This is the most ironic thing in the world, right? She was a daycare worker, found herself pregnant, and actually scheduled a late term abortion. She didn't know she was pregnant for quite a while. And I mean, she and her children were living off of tortillas and beans. I've been to their garage home, right? They have a converted garage for a home. They have a cement floor. Her and her daughter share a bed, she and her 15-year-old daughter. And it's so sad to me that the daycare would not provide her any sort of maternity leave. And she's worked there for over 20 years. And not
Mhm.
only that, but she has to pay for her son once he's born at the same price, at the same level as all the other parents who drop their kids off at that daycare, even though she's part of their family, she's part of their culture. To me, it really is an outrage.
Mhm.
But what we've been able to do is, set up grocery deliveries for her. I'm going to be there when the baby's born. She's given me a phone call, right? I have to step in because the dad's not there for her. It's a really tough situation. What are these little ways that we can support families, that we can stand in the gap for them, that we can be their village? I really want us to do that on the Sidewalk Advocates for Life national team, down to the women that we're serving. And I hope for anyone who's listening to this, that they'll continue to brainstorm ways that they can support moms and families.
Mhm. Beautiful. Wonderful. All right. Let's see. If your life were a movie,
Oh my
who would
gosh.
play you and what would the title be? Sub question, sub point. It can't be the Lauren Muzyka story.
Okay. So who would play me and what would the title be?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, this is a great question. Okay. Let me think about the actress that I
It
would
doesn't
play.
have to be a humility pick, you know. If you
Okay.
were, if pick whoever you want, not some, low ranking actress, whatever, Bette
Or Better
Midler.
Go Home?
That's
Okay, okay. Um, can I pick like Julia Roberts or something? I've always found
sure.
her like really endearing, or somebody like that that, is kind of a bubbly extrovert who loves life and isn't afraid to cry, but also be a strong woman and say what she thinks and wants, and but loves people and loves family. I'm just thinking about the different movies I've seen her in, right?
Sure. Sure.
So somebody like that. I don't know. I'm sure
Okay.
there's somebody more modern that I could have picked, even though she's still out there. Um, the title, I don't. It would be something along the lines of, and this actually goes back to. I'm about to get deep here for a second. I had a dream in high school that still to this day haunts me, and it was
Mm.
basically, to me, it was actually something almost like a spiritual message that was delivered to me. And I mean, it's still, when I think about it today, I still get choked up, but I still remember, I've never actually talked about this publicly. I wrote this out at the end of high school, and I think it belongs probably somewhere in a book somewhere that I think God may want me to write. But I still remember this dream kind of opened up, and I was looking down in a stadium, and there were people in these stands. The stadium was huge. There were people in these stands, and it went all the way up into the sky, like the heavens, right? And I was kind of getting the bird's eye view of the field. And then all of a sudden, I was brought down to the field and I saw that it was me. And I saw that somebody was handing me something, like they were charging me with some sort of mission. And in the middle of that, there was some sort of reference to victory, like a crown of victory, that God was going to give me a mission, and it was going to be tough at times, but He would see me through to victory. And I won't go into the rest of the dream, the rest of the story. Like I said, I got to write it all out because there's even something more profound that happened after that. But I think it's interesting. I heard somebody the other day say, look at the meaning of your name, the name that your parents gave you, and could that be a clue into what God wants to do in your life? And my name is Lauren, and it means crowned with laurel, which has traditionally been seen as crowned with victory.
Mm.
And so it probably would be something along the lines of like the title of this story that I wrote at the end of high school, reflecting on this idea that I just kind of threw out there, via this dream. It was called
Mhm.
The Challenger, and it was about somebody who kind
Mm.
of came into the picture, came into a story at a particular point in history, and really believed that something needed to change. And she was tenacious about wanting something better for the world and wanting to change it. And so something along the lines of challenger or victory or something, because
Yeah.
for me, it's like when I believe in something, I don't give up, and I believe that God is in that, and he's part of that and directing that, and that we've got a big role to say yes to that. And so I don't know. I know I'm dancing around this here, but I don't want to quite nail down the title because there's a lot more of my life, I pray, to go. But it's something along those lines, I think.
Yeah. No, I totally follow you. That's really great. I have no
Yeah.
idea what I would name movie after me. The Bozo the Clown story or something like that. I don't
The
know.
video dude.
Video dude. Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be more
Um,
profound than that. As great as that is, as profound as that is for
more
us.
profound, the video dude.
Oh, video dude. There you
Okay.
go. Yep.
Let's see here. Where have you seen God move in the hearts of people where there was no doubt that it had to be the Lord?
Ooh, yeah. I mean, this is like every story of the abortion workers that we have helped. People who have prayed over and with people for years. I think of Abby Johnson's story, rising through the ranks of Planned Parenthood, becoming the director of that facility. I used to pray outside that facility. I remember being so frustrated in college every Saturday morning, abortion morning, being on my knees and being like, God, I'm watching woman after woman after woman go into this facility. I don't know how to talk to them,
Hmm.
We were finding some good sidewalk counseling training here and there, but then I was still feeling lost about kind of how everything fit together, and so it took a while it was a few more years before the 40 Days for Life campaign showed up. And so I realized the importance of a peaceful, prayerful atmosphere as opposed to one of protest that is a lot more conducive to conversation, right? And then Sidewalk Advocates for Life was in part inspired by the spirit of 40 Days for Life. That's, when I started it about 11 years ago. There's a lot of story in there, but the point is like, I can't not look at the pro-life movement the last 20 years and not see God's hand through it all. I wonder if some things would have happened, how do I put this? Better and faster and more efficiently had some of us said yes to God a little bit better and sooner. I think that God is a God of victory. He's always working, and he wants to do sometimes so much more through us than we give him permission to do. And so that's something that haunts me, is I really believe in a cooperation between us and God. Sometimes God wants to move and we say no. And sometimes we want to move and God is like, hold on. Or,
Right.
I got something better, or yes, or whatever it may be. And so I just think it's our job to keep radically getting ourselves out of the way, or encouraging other people to get out of their way, and to just be able to really co-create with God, ask him what it is that he wants to do. Because when we do that, when we get out of our own way and we put ourselves more and more at his disposal, to me, that's where miracles happen. And it's a challenge for me every single day to challenge myself to be that person.
Hmm. Yeah, that's really great. And that kind of leads a little bit into the next question. Um, when you started Sidewalk Advocates for Life, was there something that you had to say no to? And how do you feel about that as you look back at that opportunity?
Yeah. In order to do that, just because 40 Days for Life. So for people who don't know, I used to work on the 40 Days for Life national team, right? And at one point saw the need and felt the call to start Sidewalk Advocates for Life. But so at the time I was at 40 Days for Life, when I realized God may have this call for me to do this, my old friend David B. Wright, who was the founder of 40 Days for Life, has since moved on to another initiative. And Sean Carney, who was the pseudo vice president at the time, rose up and took over the organization, right? It's like when David realized that their call was to strengthen the prayer vigil, like their focus was on prayer, um, you know, because we had dabbled in the possibility of a full-fledged sidewalk counseling program in tandem with 40 Days for Life. And I had been the sidewalk counselor on the team for years, not so much the guys, right? Then we had looked at doing it. It wasn't getting off the ground. Walls were being hit. And David just realized this is not our particular call. So he said to me, hey, if you're going to do this, you have to do it outside of 40 Days for Life. And that was a real tearful conversation, right? Because it was taking a leap of faith. And hey, is this thing even going to get off the ground? I mean, I even went and worked for the Dallas Diocese for a handful of months again. Even though I'm an attorney, right? I kept finding myself in ministry and grassroots pro-life work. But the question was, is this thing going to happen? Is it going to get off the ground? I know that scared the heck out of my husband at the time, because I think you could say when we launched Sidewalk Advocates for Life, we had 3 mortgages. We had our house, or at least I think we were getting ready to move into a house. We had my law school loans, and then we had a nonprofit organization. And he didn't tell me until years later that it scared him as a husband to watch his wife launch this dream, and hey, it may not get off the ground, and what does that mean for her and us, and what does that mean for us financially, and all the things, right? Even though I told him later, I was like, well, I would have gotten a job and we would have figured it out and everything, but I just really appreciate the weight that he carried as a man in doing that. So sometimes when you say yes to a dream, you're saying no to other things. I mean, really, when you're saying yes to a spouse, you're saying no to everybody else. When you're saying yes to a vocation, you're saying no to everything else, right? And it always is a leap of faith, but without that leap of faith, you can't have the great adventure, right? So here we are. I get to say 11 years later, it was a great decision. And I'm grateful. And there's been just so much that God has done, nearly 25,000 lives saved, right? Over 100 eternal souls who've left the abortion business, dozens and dozens of facilities closing, right? So to God the glory for that. But it's still fun for me when I go to a closing celebration. You know, we have a facility that closed, the community comes together, the Sidewalk Advocates, we're celebrating, or you and I go there and we're videoing the whole story behind it and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny to launch something and realize that this thing has gotten so much bigger than yourself. Like there's all these miracles that are happening in all of these communities all over the United States. And now we have communities as well. We have teams as well in Puerto Rico, Mexico City, and Colombia. Um, I can honestly tell you, Lauren Muzyka didn't do that. It's just every day getting up and saying yes to the next right thing. And then you plus God, as Dave Ramsey likes to say, famous Dave Ramsey, you plus God equals something unstoppable. And so you try to do your part, you let God do his, you try to get out of the way, and then you wake up one day and you go, wow, you know, look at what he's done. So now I feel like my role is a little bit more working on, and again, I get a lot of advice from Dave Ramsey. He's one of my favorite CEOs and business guys, but he talks about how you want to work not in the business, but on the business. So I try to handle now big media, larger ministry partners who, you know, really made an investment over here. I've got to honor that commitment that they've made to us and look for other ways to grow the ministry. And then I'm also working on kind of the bigger problems that could arise that inevitably come up in any ministry and organization, nonprofit, right? But overall, which is this is probably why there's so much spiritual attack, everything is going very well. Everything's going pretty fingers crossed. Yeah.
Very cool. Praise God. Okay. So you're at a party with Dave Ramsey. I threw that part in. And it's your turn at karaoke.
Okay.
What song do you pick? Like you get the big binder full of songs. What do you first look for?
Oh my gosh. I had a karaoke machine growing up. A lot of people don't know, I was a choir girl. And so I'm literally having a flashback of like Whitney Houston's I Want to Dance with Somebody.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even want to sing that now. Like, I
No,
took a break.
don't. YouTube will demonetize.
Okay, there you go. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
not sing it.
Don't
Okay.
want to break any copyright rules or anything.
Deal. Thank you, video dude. Oh my gosh. What would I sing nowadays? You know what? Living on a Prayer with Bon Jovi, that's kind of fun. I would probably do like a Living on the Prayer. I might pick some really fun country song as well.
Yeah.
I've done country songs. If I can find another guy friend or let's say coworker, because my husband won't
Dave
give
Ramsey.
Oh, it's Dave Ramsey. Yeah, maybe
He's
we
gonna
could
be at
do
the
a
party. Yeah.
duet. Can we do a duet, like a country
Sure.
duet?
Yeah. What would you sing with Dave Ramsey?
Well, it wouldn't be. It's like I'm thinking of like Tim McGraw and his wife Faith, and I'm like, I can't sing. It's your love. I can't do that with Dave Ramsey. He's like, you know, my grandfather. I don't know. So, I don't know. It'd be some. Oh, you know what you could do? You could do the Aladdin. Like, what is that?
Yeah. I could show you the world. Yeah, that one.
Shining, shimmering, splendid.
We're not doing this, Lauren.
Okay, we're not. No, okay, yeah. So I might do something ridiculous and cheesy like that.
Okay.
I'm always up for maybe a cheesy song and then a fun song or something, just to make me not look so cheesy.
Yeah.
At karaoke. Yeah.
Good. Awesome. Well, we pushed 6 questions there, so.
Oh my goodness. Okay, you got to pick out one more random one. We're only at 23 minutes, Andrew.
One more random one. Let's see here. How about let's see here.
I'll put you on the spot now. You got to
me
go
on
through
the
the list.
spot. What's one food you absolutely refuse to eat no matter what?
Okay. If it's so here's just by way of context. I love food. My husband and I, when we travel, we've been known, at least in the past, to look up really good restaurants recommended by like the Food Network or, you know, one of the big personalities there or whatnot. I still remember we went to Hawaii a handful of years ago. It was like a second honeymoon that we took because at the time we couldn't afford like an overseas honeymoon. We did like Naples, Florida, which was super cool. But anyways, finally made it over to Hawaii and we looked up this place that had been on Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives with Guy Fieri from the Food Network, and
Okay.
they were known for Hawaii's classic dish, which I believe is called the Moco Loco. I don't even know if I said that right, but it's like a bed of white rice, a hamburger patty, and some sort of awesome gravy that's all over it with other
Okay.
stuff. And when we found this restaurant that everybody raved about, I still remember it's like in the middle of this pseudo rundown neighborhood. You know, you
Mhm.
walk in, it's a little bit of a dive, right? Diners, drive-ins, and dives. Okay.
Right, right, right.
You walk in, there's like a picture of Guy Fieri on the wall, and like I still remember the main area where everybody sat and ate was divided from the kitchen with a shower curtain and shower curtain rings. Right? There were just little things about it where I was like, okay, you guys are,
Somewhat informal.
yeah, like, can we step it up? Am I going to get food poisoning here? How are things
Right.
going? Right. Anyways, ended up being phenomenal.
Mm.
So anyways, we love to find good food. I will I if it's too weird, I won't eat it. Like escargot, right? Snails?
Hmm.
No, thank you. No, 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 no. Like those
Yeah.
things crawl on the sidewalk. Like why am I eating them? Um the other thing is this is kind of a random thing. I read a book by a guy named Jordan Rubin a handful of years ago. He wrote this whole book called The Maker's Diet. He's a Messianic Jew, so he's a Christian, but really believes in
Okay.
looking at the old law and how it informs the new. And he claims that he cured himself from Crohn's disease using biblical principles for nutrition.
Hmm.
And he said in the book, this was his take on it, right? That shellfish and pigs, for example, land and sea, that there were certain animals there that were designated to clean up the ocean, clean up the land. And
Mm.
so his advice was not to eat shellfish. His advice was not to eat pork, right? Which
Yeah.
means that you have to let go of bacon, which is really sad. So actually, I got convicted after that book. I was convinced by that argument so much that I don't eat lobster or crab or shrimp
Mm.
anymore. Now, my husband the other day, we were out. I forgot where we were. I think it was like a Kobe's steakhouse where they make the food right at your table on the
Okay.
hot
Like
plate
a
or whatever.
hibachi thing or
Yeah,
something.
it's like a hibachi thing, and,
Okay.
I did eat a piece of shrimp, and I hadn't had shrimp in years, but the one exception that I make is I eat bacon because it's so hard to let go of, but to be fair across the board, the book also says that you shouldn't eat processed food, that, man has tampered with it, it's not the best for you, and I drink Dr. Pepper every once in a while if it's going out of style, so, I'm
It
not
comes
really
from the
following.
great Dr. Pepper springs that spring out of the mountain pepper. And you could just like you just walk up with a bottle and just get the Dr. Pepper. And praise God for the people who bottle it in a very natural way without any like forever plastics that get lodged in your brain.
See,
I
Andrew,
totally hear you. I see where you're coming from.
I wish that was the story. For a period of time I went and saw a nutritionist because I was so convicted by all this. I was like, I want to be at the top of my health game, right? And so I saw a nutritionist for a while, and she would always say to me, she'd be like, Lauren, because I'd have to fill out these sheets about everything that I ate and trying to lose weight and
Mm.
be healthy, blah blah blah. And she's like, there's no Dr. Pepper tree in nature. Like she goes, stop drinking Dr. Pepper. I'm like, stop drinking Dr. Pepper. Do you want me to be miserable for the rest of my life? Like, what are you talking about? So, anyways, I ate actually really good and I got myself to where I was only drinking Dr. Pepper like once a week. And
Mm.
I'm not doing that as much anymore.
Yeah.
But I do challenge myself now and then to do better. So, anyways, moral of the story is if it's really weird, like monkey brains or snails or I don't know, frog legs, like I don't do amphibians,
Hmm.
alligator, no thank you.
Oh,
Like,
alligator's so good.
I had it when I was younger and I thought it was pretty good, but
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know. I got convinced by that book that I should stay away from things. But see, again,
So is
stay away from
alligator
that,
not
but
kosher?
you're not supposed to eat amphibians. Did I say that right? Amphibian? How do you say that?
I mean, amphibian's the word.
Okay, okay.
But I don't think, but crocodiles or alligators are reptiles.
Oh, thank you. Whoops.
And what?
You're not supposed to eat those either,
Okay.
according to the book. It's kind of like there were certain, if you go
I
back
wonder if you
and
can get bacon from alligators. I think that you could like do some
couldn't
sort of
have it.
crossover.
Yeah, it's like the idea is, I mean, this is just a really interesting idea for people to explore, and it's actually something
Hmm.
I've been thinking about more and more lately. The idea is that God didn't abolish the old, he fulfilled it in Christ, right?
Great.
And yes, technically we're not under the old eating precepts because of the new law that Christ has delivered, which again, it's not circumcision that saves you, it's circumcision of the heart. It's not the old eating
Hmm.
laws that makes you clean before God. It's the, it's the cleanliness of your heart, right? And
Hmm.
now being in Christ and having him save you. But the argument that this gentleman makes is that those laws are not abolished. They should still inform how we live and eat and take care of
Hmm.
our temples. And so it's a really interesting argument. But so that actually guides a fair amount of my eating. I'd be
Yeah.
lying if I said that it guided all of it. So in my day to day, since we're on the subject of food, what I try to do is like a splurge meal and a splurge dessert once a week. And then the rest of the week, I try to eat better.
Right.
And I do okay. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think, I mean, now that you're talking about it, I mean, Jesus, uh, I'm not going to go into it, but Jesus made all foods clean.
Mm,
But that
mhm.
doesn't, that's more of an effect of him removing any kind of like spiritual component connected to whatever you're eating. Not
Right.
saying, yeah, just like slam the Nutella 3 times a day, like, what
Right. Skittles are clean. You can have as many as you
exactly.
want.
You just
Yeah.
mix the Skittles with the Nutella and
Yeah.
then just spoon it in. Yeah, that's not what Jesus was saying when all foods were made clean. He was sort of removing the spiritual component. So I think there is something possibly to what you're saying about, trying not to, eat the things at least regularly that sort of clean the world in a sense.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and the other thing too is that we've created things that were never intended to be food. Like again, there's no Skittles tree in nature. There's no,
Hmm.
M&M's bush. There's no Dr. Pepper fountain somewhere in the side of a mountain. Like it's an interesting thought exercise, right? I believe so much in natural law, like that there are spiritual and emotional principles that should guide our lives, and that when we don't follow those spiritual and emotional principles, and again, the idea is that Christ is the fulfillment of the natural law, and
Hmm.
everything that he's taught us it's really there to protect us. When he says no sex before marriage, he's not like, yay, let me take away your fun. He's like, no, like this is a powerful thing. Like you've got to protect yourself. Men, the way that you look at women and treat women, I mean, it protects you, it protects her, right? There's
Hmm.
protection, and the intention is human flourishing, God promoting human flourishing and everything that he puts forward. um if we're body and soul, then it makes sense that there would be physical laws that would guide us. So what are
Hmm.
those? And so anyways, it's an interesting thought exercise to kind of go back into the scriptures and rediscover that. What does it look
Hmm.
like to live a full, healthy, physical, emotional, and spiritual life? And I'll tell you, I fall short every day. I'm pretty sure I have Skittles in my purse right now. And I'm pretty sure that there's some sort of bad red 40 something going on dye that, thanks to RFK Jr., is going to get removed at some point. But
Right.
I think they're already on that
I,
path, actually.
I
But
heard somewhere that America is the only country that like can legally sell Skittles. Like they're outlawed in every other country in the world. I could
yeah.
be totally off on that, but
No, I heard America allows a lot of stuff that a lot of other countries do not allow.
yeah.
And we're also having skyrocketing rates of cancer and type 2 diabetes. And, they're having, I just saw an article the other day that people are having strokes as young as 18 years old at
Mm.
times because of our lifestyle, our environment, our diet, right? Again, the idea is we all have genetic tendencies towards something, but those don't necessarily have to manifest. We've got a role to play in all of that as well. But anyways, I mean, again, short of a chromosomal issue.
Mm.
So yeah, wow, I didn't expect to get into a huge, like, robust nutrition
I'm
discussion.
holding back. I'm like I've done enough deep dives at a bunch of different locations. I'm like, this is not my show. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Lauren.
yeah, yeah,
This is
yeah.
not my show.
It's good. Well, we all got to take care of ourselves, right? Especially in this
Absolutely.
battle spiritually. There was uh, there's a priest that helped to found Franciscan University of Steubenville, Father Benedict Groeschel, that is very beloved, famous. I think he passed away a handful of years ago. And there were some students that at different times that would go to him and say, Father, please pray for me. I'm getting spiritually attacked. It's been crazy, da 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 da. And one of the questions he would always ask them is, are you getting enough sleep? Are
Mm.
you eating pretty all right? Right? Like, what's your diet like? Are you getting leisure time? You running yourself into the ground? And I just thought that was really cool and really practical. Like, we're body and spirit. And so, making sure that we're taking care of ourselves in the battle is so, so important. So again, I am not the best example of this all the time. I find myself in
Mhm.
airports and I'm like, yay, my choices are Shake Shack and Panda Express, right? And I'd love to
Right.
tell you that every single time I get the salad. But then sometimes I'm kind of like, this isn't
I mean,
so
an
bad. Look at
airport
one bad, one
salad is
good.
like this big,
Oh, I
I
know.
mean,
It's so bad. Like,
yeah, I mean, it really is a
can't
temptation.
put
You
this
have
on that.
15 pancakes in the morning, with syrup and everything, and by, the afternoon, the Christian's going to be like, I think I'm under spiritual attack, but it's really just a massive carb crash.
Yeah, you're eating a lot of trash and you're gonna feel like trash, right? And then I think the idea is you're more susceptible then to attack,
Hmm.
right? I mean, you even listen to priests and pastors that conduct exorcisms, and it's funny to me. I mean, not funny, but it's interesting to me the physical component of that, or something very human. Like a lot of times when people are even possessed by the evil one, it's because they're harboring unforgiveness in their life. They actually say that
Hmm.
unforgiveness and bitterness are a gateway to oppression, repression, possession. Right? It's interesting when you
Hmm.
kind of look at the whole human person and how one thing pours into another, and the importance of taking care of ourselves in many different ways. It honors the Lord when we do that, and it's so
Hmm.
important for those of us, especially in ministry. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
All right, last question.
Okay.
If you could swap jobs with anyone for a day, who would it be and why?
Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh, President Trump. I think it would be so cool to be president for a day. I'd be like, what executive orders am I doing today? Right? Or can I
Hmm.
swap places with him? Although I think he's going to sign it. This big, beautiful budget bill that's I think before the Senate right now. It defunds Planned Parenthood, and
Hmm.
I don't know, let's say that there's a risk of the president not signing that. I would love to have that on my desk and sign that and defund America's abortion provider.
Just
Um,
have your signature on it.
yeah, like it'd just be cool to swap places with him and for people to really for that day believe that I'm president and just how much good you could do. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. But I'm a political junkie, at least from the national perspective. My husband, I shouldn't admit this on the podcast, but my husband gets on me because sometimes I forget to vote in the local elections, right? And those are like where a lot of magic happens. But I
Right.
never miss voting for president and by extension, other important offices in that regard. But
Hmm.
yeah, I'd love to do that one day.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Very cool. You should think about running.
We'll see.
Maybe, maybe not.
I've thought about running for office actually
Yeah.
someday, but I don't know. I don't know if it's contingent on abortion ending or it would have to just be a call where I'd have to
Yeah.
make an
Yeah.
exit.
Yeah. Just put yourself
So,
out of a job first. Abortion
yeah,
is over, and then you
yeah,
can run for office.
that's right. And maybe in between then I would have a dog rescue farm. That would be
Yes.
very cool. So,
Very on brand for Lauren Muzyka.
yeah, we have 3 rescue dogs, and if you are Facebook friends with me, you see how much we post about them because I love them. I think dogs and humans, they're kind of, humans are most important, but dogs are, they're getting up
Right.
there a little
Do
bit
you have a Who
after a while.
Rescued Who sticker on your car?
I don't have it on my car.
Is that
Maybe it's on my refrigerator or something. No,
okay?
it's on a frame in our living room. Who rescued who? And it's like 2 of our rescue pups. I just
Okay.
love them. If I could adopt all the rescue pups in the world, I would. So, but
All right.
my husband says, nope, 3 is the limit. So here we
3
are.
is the
We have 3.
limit.
We have 3.
All
Pray
right.
for 4 and 10. We'll see.
Well, fun.
It's been
Well,
fun.
thanks for including me on this one. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go ahead and hop off, but
Okay.
yeah, that was a lot of fun. Good job.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks,
All
everybody,
right.
for the great questions. And I'll go ahead and do a closing thought. Okay, so thanks for listening to all that. Wow, nutrition. Didn't expect to get into all that, but that was kind of a fun discussion. And of course, dogs had to come up. I'm glad dogs came up. Okay, this particular episode is going to air the weekend that I'm in Washington, D.C. for the Celebrate Life weekend, marking the 3rd anniversary of the Dobbs Supreme Court decision that overturned the infamous Roe versus Wade abortion case, the decision that imposed abortion on demand on all 50 states for nearly 50 years. It's so hard to believe still that the reign of Roe has ended, something that many people for years said would never happen. And yet, with where we are on the map at this particular point in history, I know that many of us in the pro-life movement have mixed feelings. Today, we have about 17 states that protect preborn life at all stages or very close, but that then leaves us with the majority of states still taking innocent human life. At the ballot box, many states have voted to enshrine abortion until the point of birth in their state constitution. And the pro-abortion backlash to the Dobbs decision led many abortion proponents to create better connections to organizations providing mail-order abortion-causing drugs or funding groups that worked very hard to funnel women in crisis across state lines to the next nearest abortion facility, ironically, leading abortions to increase immediately after the overturning of Roe. But on the flip side, this decision is no longer stuck in a constitutional deep freeze, allowing the people of every state finally to even have the chance in protecting life. We're also on the brink of defunding America's largest abortion provider, Planned Parenthood, which would shut down countless abortion and abortion referral centers across the nation. I'd also highlight that the pro-life movement has created better support systems to mothers facing unexpected pregnancies. We dial into them all the time here at Sidewalk Advocates for Life. And it's still a miracle that many babies who would otherwise not be alive today are alive because of this huge sea change. I had a colleague, someone who's been around for a while in the movement, say that soon after Roe was overturned, he was more discouraged than ever. We were supposed to have this huge victory party. Half the United States was supposed to be pro-life. Half was automatically supposed to be, pro-abortion. We didn't expect it to go back and forth. And, the abortion industry trying all these different things to funnel women across state lines and increase funding and increase abortions, right? But he just said the other day that he's more encouraged. He sees a momentum and an opportunity as never before, especially with this particular presidential administration in the background. So I just want to encourage us. We need to keep going. We have to keep moving. There's no doubt that we're saving lives. We're closing abortion facilities. We're helping workers leave the industry, and we're winning souls for Christ. And it's all because someone like you said yes to giving of your time, talent, and treasure to the greatest human rights movement on earth. So the question is, where will we be 1 year from now as we mark the 4th anniversary of Dobbs? And I believe it greatly depends on the yes that you and I decide to give going forward. Again, I just want to encourage us, do not give up. The scriptures tell us that we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. All right. With that, thank you again for joining me for another episode and season of the Lauren Muzyka Show. We'll be back here next Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central via Facebook, YouTube, or wherever you get podcasts to kick off season 4. Thanks so much, everybody.